Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Did It Work? Take two. So, I just posted last night and I said I was going to redo the recipe, the macaroni recipe, because it did not work. And I said I was going to go ahead and try to resurrect it. I posted at about 5 a.m. and I was up at 8 o'clock, couldn't sleep because this is all I can think about. So I'm doing this recipe on the fly. So you're going to kind of walk through this with me as I go. Nothing's written out at all. And I am going to kind of somewhat blend these recipes, mine and Ayesha Curry's, but at the same time not. So you're going to understand kind of what I'm talking about as I go through. So this is got to be almost a rambling video because I don't have anything thought out. I just had to do it because I need to go to sleep. And until I do this video, I'm not going to be able to sleep because that's how much it has been weighing on my mind. Just making sure my mic is on. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to still use 3 cups of cheese like she said. I'm doing the extra sharp because I did like the taste of the extra sharp cheese. I'm using my food processor to shred. I did this yesterday. I just didn't show you guys as I was doing it. So you're literally going to see how I normally cook on any given day. This is what I do and this is how I cook. I am going to, this right here holds about 3 cups of cheese. And so I'm going to fill it up. I know that because when I was doing it yesterday, when I measured it out after I filled it up, it was 3 cups. So once I fill this up, I'm going to have 3 cups. The other cheese that I'm going to be using is a mild cheddar because mild cheddar is my favorite cheese. So that is the other cheese that I will be using instead of the same cheese. That is one of the things that I said I would change doing it again is I would use more than one cheese. Not counting Parmesan cheese as one of the cheese. And then the other cheese that I have is mozzarella. And I have the block mozzarella. If you want to use the actual real mozzarella, you can. You're just not going to shred it and you cut it up in there at the end. I like mozzarella because it gives that string pull that I like, kind of like with pizza. Yum. I like that. So I'm going to put as much in here as it fills up. And it's letting me put it all in there. Whoops. As you see me make a mess. So I got that done. So the next thing that I'm going to do after that is I'm going to start a roux. I don't put egg in mine. And yesterday did not make me a fan of putting egg in it. I have tempered before, and the second time I tempered fine. I want the egg. I'm going to make a roux. That's got to give me the creaminess that I want and everything else. So I'm going to move you back over here to the stove. I'm going to let this sit in here because this is my 3 cups. Okay, so I'm over here. While I've got my pot for my roux, I've got my pot that has my water in it. And right now, all it has is water in it. I'm going to generously salt this first with regular salt. I'm putting in about, this is how big my spoon is. So I put in about 5 of those, which is probably about 2 to 3 teaspoons. And then I put garlic salt in mine because I like to flavor things. Now this is just for the noodles. I probably put another couple of teaspoons in there for that. This is just the noodles, guys. This is all that is. We're throwing this water out anyway. And I'm going to let that come to a boil. I also, when I make noodles, I put a swig of, I said a swig, but I do mean a swig of vegetable oil in the water. Probably about a tablespoon, And that's just to make sure that the noodles don't actually stick together. So let's make this roux. I want a tablespoon of butter. And I will apologize. I don't have any of this stuff set out. And the reason why is if I am not using a recipe, I generally will not set out the food because I know it off the top of my head. And so I can just grab for it. So this is what's happening because I had no time to plan this episode because, well, I just woke up and decided I had to do it. I'm using 1 tablespoon of butter. I have medium heat and I'm going to whisk. So if this video completely drives you crazy, just let me know and I will try my best never to do this again. Okay, so 1 tablespoon of flour, 1 tablespoon of butter, and we're going to get started on this roux. I am going to also still be using the 2.5 cups of milk that she wanted. The one thing I can say about using this recipe, I'll let you see me. The one thing I can say about using her recipe is it's giving me measurements that I never actually had because this is generally how I cook. I put in there dash pinch. You know, we've already had the grandma cooking short that I did. So I'm going to use a lot of the measurements that she had because I do believe our measurements were the same. So as we go, let me get her book because I'm really wanting to show you the difference of what's happening here. So as I am whisking my flour and my flour and my butter for my roux, I'm going to tell you, in the last video, I told you the last time that I had macaroni and cheese was on Thanksgiving. And I made it, and I made it at my cousin's house. And I'm going to tell you, it was not the best macaroni and cheese at all. It was something I was somewhat embarrassed about. Um, it was baked for too long. It got a little bit dry, but the flavor was still there. Left in the oven for too long, waiting for people to show up, and I should have just taken it out, added some more milk, something, but I did not revive it, and I should have, and that was my bad. There's nobody to blame for that but me. All right, so this is what I've got so far in my roux. I'm cooking this flour out a little bit, and this is all that I'm doing until I start adding the milk. I need to relax. You can hear it in my voice that I'm just like almost frantic, but I'm not frantic, but it sounds like I'm frantic. All right, I'm pouring the milk in, and I'm only going to pour in about a cup of this milk. So that's a cup of the milk, and I'm going to go ahead and whisk this up. Let this get thickened. Now, while I'm doing this, I'm going to flavor this as well because I believe in flavoring everything. That was another problem I had with that recipe. It didn't have nearly enough seasoning in it. I'm not using kosher salt because I work with sea salt. This is sea salt. So I'm going to put in a couple of twists of that. And I'm going to use white pepper because I have white pepper now. Thanks to the young ones. They sent me some white pepper. To give this some flavor. I just needed some seasoning in there, and it lacks seasoning. I love seasoning. So I season at every step. This is a step, so I'm seasoning. I'm still whisking, letting this thicken up a little bit because the roux is my thickening agent. My kids love macaroni and cheese, except for they don't like their macaroni and cheese baked at all. They don't. I'm going to try to make it to where you can see me a little bit better. So my kids don't like their macaroni and cheese baked. So the last Thanksgiving that I cooked, I made 2 macaroni and cheese. One that's just over the stove. So it's completely creamy and all that. It does not go in the oven because once you put it in the oven, it does make it a little bit more solid. It's not, that's just what happens when you bake it. It makes it a little bit more solid. I like mine that way. I think it gives it a more depth of flavor. And I love the breadcrumb topping. Kids hate that too. So I made 2 of them, and I tore that baked one up. It was so good. So anyway, so you can see in here, going back down, this has gotten thicker, and I wanted that. And so I'm going to start adding some of the cheese. I'm going to turn this down to low, and I'm going to start palming in some of this cheese. No rhyme or reason. I am literally just taking handfuls of it and putting some of the cheese in there to make a cheese sauce. Oh, I'm going to get rid of my whisk because that takes a lot of arm work that I don't want to exude. So you can see what this is doing. This is making me a nice cheese sauce. And I'm going to let this go. It's melting quickly. You can see how quickly this is melting. And my fire is still on low. I'm going to get a tasting spoon because, yes, I'm going to actually taste this as well. That is nice and cheesy. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit more of this milk in here. About another half a cup. And I'm going to stir. In the meantime, my water has come to a boil. So because my water has come to a boil, yep, you guessed it, I'm adding the noodles. Another thing that I did, I'm not trying to show you the brand names, but I got shell noodle. I like shells. I think elbows are boring. So I got the noodles that I like to use, and that is the shells. So same thing, I'm going to make it al dente, cooking instructions. For authentic al dente pasta boil for 8 minutes. So put those in there. I'm going to give it a quick stir to get it coated with all that flavoring that we put it in there. I'm going to set my alarm for 8 minutes. Oh, and I also forgot to turn on my oven, so I'm going to do that as well. And bake at 400. She said 425. I'm doing 400. And go back to the cheese. Okay, so I put more milk in there. Yep, you guessed it. I'm putting more cheese in there. So, a couple of more handfuls of the cheese is going in there. And I'm leaving about this much because I'm going to put it on the top of it before I bake it. Okay, so I'm leaving that much, and I'm going to stir this. Again, we're just stirring. I have it on low, and this is my cheese sauce. In the meantime, I have my pasta cooking. Wow, this has been a day. I don't know why this bothered me so much with that recipe not going well. I don't know why it sat on my brain for so long, but it seriously has attacked my brain in such a way that I'm not exactly sure why. Because I never expected a recipe to not really work like that. And oh my gosh. Okay, stop talking about it. All right, I'm gonna keep it moving. Okay, I'm gonna taste my cheese again. Give me another tasting spoon. Nice and cheesy. I need more seasoning. I'm gonna rinse off my tasting spoon so I'm not constantly getting a new one. More salt. It needed more seasoning. So I have more salt. I'm putting some onion powder in here. I'm layering flavors at this point. I would probably say that was maybe a teaspoon. Garlic powder, again, another teaspoon or so. Again, I didn't prepare this recipe, so I'm literally playing it by ear right now, and I'm just tasting it as we go. And like I said before, I am going to put in the ground mustard because I want to see what it does. Hopefully I don't completely run it. Coming together. So you'll get to see how I did my ground mustard. Here's my pesto, mortal and pesto, and my ground mustard. I'm only going to do about half of a teaspoon, unlike the teaspoon, the whole teaspoon that she called for. Crush those up. So this will be my ground right here. See? Okay, pouring this. So I've got a quarter of a teaspoon, and I'm going to just leave it at that because I'm not grounding anymore. Mainly out of fear. I'm not exactly sure what it's got to do, so I'm baby stepping this one. So let me go ahead and taste it with one of my still leftover clean spoons. And I'm going to stir my pasta, make sure it's not sticking at all. I'm liking the flavor that I have right now. I'm getting the rest of the ground mustard out of the bottom of my mortal and pestle. So that probably gave me another eighth of a teaspoon. Stir it again. So I came really close to a half of a teaspoon right there. Really, really close to a half a teaspoon after it was all said and done. So I'm going to just go back and say we're at a half of a teaspoon. The timer hasn't gone off, but I'm still kind of stir this a little bit. I'm going to check to see about where we are. Get a noodle. I don't know. Everybody checks noodles a little bit differently. I literally have to bite mine. So a couple more minutes on that one. My timer hasn't gone off, so of course a couple more minutes on that one. So I'll be back. Okay, so my alarm for my pasta just went off. So I'm going to taste it again and see where we're at. Remember, I am going to put this in the oven for a little bit, so it's going to continue to cook when I put it in the oven. So that's why I don't want to overcook this. Oh, perfect. Turning that off. And then I'm going to partially drain it. She also said drain well. I like that starch water. That starch water brings something to the sauce when I put it in there. One, it also helps as a thickener because starch thickens things. So I'm not going to 100% drain it the way she did. So I'm going to turn my camera so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to somewhat drain this. When I say somewhat drain, see that? You can't really see any of the liquid. Can't really see the liquid, but there is a little bit of liquid in there. So that's about how I want it. I want it to where the liquid is there, but not really there. So I'm going to put it back on my stove, and I'm going to put my fire on low. And I'm going to take stuff that drained out and pour it back in there. So let's turn you back over here. So I have this. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to season my noodles again. I am using garlic salt instead of regular salt because I want the garlic flavor in there, but I also want salt. So a little bit of that in there. Obviously, if you can't have salt, don't use all the salt. Use something else that you prefer. I meant to use the white pepper, but I started with the black pepper. So my white pepper, I love pepper in this. This is the time, too, that if you like spice in your macaroni and cheese, you can use cayenne, and that will give you a nice little kick. But I am not a big spice girl, so I'm going to use this. That handle was hot, if you want to know what just happened there. And I'm going to stir this a little bit. And you know what? I'm about to taste me a noodle. That's what I am about to do. So, my noodle. All right, those are getting flavor. The last cheese that I use is a cream cheese. It helps me with my creaminess. I'm putting it directly in my noodles. And I'm going to stir. My cheese is still doing well right there. Be careful doing that, guys. Cheese is really hot when it's hot. Cheese is really hot when it's hot. Still liking the taste of that. And I'm going to stir this up and let my cream cheese melt in here. I know people use sour cream as well. To each its own. I only used half the block, so I used 2 ounces. If I feel like I need to use the other 2 ounces, I will. But as of right now, I'm not there. So I'm letting this melt a little bit. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to get that same pan and we're going to butter it again. I'll butter it right here because I think you can see me. I'm buttering it the exact way that I buttered it that last time that you saw me butter something. Get my butter. The pan is clean because I washed it. And I'm going to just spread it all around in there because don't make it any harder than you have to. Oh, go ahead and tell everybody I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Okay, I love that song, but obviously Black women are superheroes. That is my shirt that I love so much. So many Black women are. Okay, that is ready for whenever my noodles is ready to start going in there. And we're about to put this whole thing together, guys. All of it together, taste it and see what we're doing. As you can see, it takes me longer to shoot a video than it actually does to cook because I'm doing so much talking. Now, what I'm going to do, I want you to look at how many fewer dishes I used. 1, 2, 3. Boom! We're done. I don't like dishes. So we're now going to incorporate the cheese mix into the noodles. Yay! Look, you can see me now. Okay, look at that. Let me wash these off again so I can do some more tasting. This has got to thicken up in the oven because I've got that thickener in there, so I'm not worried about that. This is not like it was yesterday, though. Yes, yes, this has flavor. I'm not saying this is the perfect best. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit more of the cheese in there because I forgot I have Parmesan cheese to put on the top, but I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit of that in there just because I can. There is no actual rhyme and reason of why I am actually doing that. All right, one more taste. I've got everything pretty much incorporated into here. Oops, that was a... I loved that string effect right there. I'm happy with that. Pour. I'm going to have to wash my mitts because I'm pouring all over my mitts. Okay. Hey, it's Prince. Let's go crazy. We're gathered here today to get through this thing called life. Okay. I feel like that is really what's happening for me. See me. I feel like that song is really what's happening to me today because I am so tired. I'm sure you can tell in all of my mannerisms, I'm a little different because I am so tired. Oh my gosh. We're gotta go crazy. Yes, we are. Just to let you know, I did not use all the milk. I still have a cup of it left. We'll see if I use it. I will check this as it's cooking, and if I feel like it's dried out, I will add milk to it while it's cooking, okay? In my recipe, I've only used 1 cup of milk. So that feels like about half of a cup. I'm going to stick it into a bowl here. So here's my cup of the real Parmesan cheese. So I get to use it. mix that in with my panko breadcrumbs. I did not get the pancetta again. I actually chose against it. And the reason why is it left a real greasy layer on the top of it that I didn't care for at all. So if you want to put it in there, it was a good addition. Okay, remember that extra cheese? I'm going to move this spoon. I'm going to put that extra cheese on here. Okay, so you see I've got that cheese on there. And here's my panko and Parmesan topper. So now we have all kinds of cheese in here. So if we recap, we have extra sharp cheddar, mild cheddar, mozzarella, cream cheese, and Parmesan cheese. I want more breadcrumbs. That is what I want. So I am now eyeballing this just because I want the breadcrumbs to be a little bit more, have a little bit more coverage. So I would probably use a cup of breadcrumbs versus a half a cup of breadcrumbs. And I'm going to sprinkle the top of it with Italian seasoning. You can actually buy Italian panko breadcrumbs as well. That I did not do. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. And then the fresh parsley, I just took my bag. I'm ripping off a little bit of it. And because I don't want to sit there and cut it with the knife, I am taking the scissors and I am literally just cutting this on the top of this. This is adding some nice color to it. Fresh herbs, you can smell. Okay, we don't have smell-o-vision. I was about to say you can smell this. I can smell this as I'm cutting this because these herbs are fresh. And when you muddle or crush or freshly cut herbs, it gives out such a beautiful, beautiful essence. Now, in here it says 1 tablespoon. I'm pretty sure this was probably only about 1 tablespoon that I got off of there. So there we go. I topped that. It's going in the oven. Because I am so tired and everything else, I didn't turn the timer on, so I have no idea how long it's been, but we're going to check it right now. Don't ask me, but for some reason, all I do is win came on, and I thought, macaroni. So maybe that's telling me that this has got to be a win because last night was not a win. So let's check this. So far, this is looking really good. Just kind of checking. See, I still got nice juices there. A few more minutes. I'll put a timer on it this time. So I'm going to let this cook for about 10 more minutes and I'll be back. Whew. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. Let's see what we have. Look at that. That looks beautiful. I'm taking it out of the oven. I'll see you at the tasting table. Okay, welcome back. We're here tasting. I just got it out of the oven. I'm not really gonna wait for this to cool. One, have you seen me? I am so tired. I'm tired. I am mentally done. You can tell by some of the mishaps in the video. My brain's gone, but it's wrapped up in this macaroni. Oh my gosh. It consumed me last night. So, this is what I have. I like this. This looks like a good macaroni. Okay. So, let me get my little taster. I'm gonna eat tonight when I make my pork chop. Pork chop, pork chop. Yes, yes. Okay. I don't know. Can you hear that crisp? So I got a nice crust on here. All right. Can you see this? All right. That is a lot more of a tasting than what I need. But I need you guys to look at this. Do you see the difference between this one and the one from last night? And this is baked. Okay. I did not end up using the rest of that milk. Oh my gosh. I'm scared to taste it. But here we go. Here we go. Whew. Keep forgetting I did just take this out the oven because it is hot. I I know I probably said this before, but while I'm blowing this and cooling it down, I didn't go to bed till 5 o'clock this morning when I posted that video. I was back up at 8 o'clock this morning, obsessing over the fail with the macaroni and cheese. I was in the grocery store rebuying groceries and back home by 10 o'clock. It is now 12:41. I have now filmed, baked, loaded the dishwasher, swept the floor, sat down, text my brother being jealous because he's at the hot dog festival in Kansas City, Missouri with Stokely and the Daz Band. And there are two people I want to see. I have seen, but I want to see again. And I went with him last year and I had so much fun. And so I'm over here missing him, wishing I was with him. Um, okay, let's taste this since I've now babbling again. This is what I do when I'm tired. I babble. This is 100% better than yesterday, but I didn't have to do much to get 100% better than yesterday. Um, I'm not for sure I like the ground mustard in here. I'm not exactly sure if that's what I'm tasting or if it's the sharp cheddar that I'm tasting. It's not bad. I'm gonna eat this. Look, I'm gonna eat it. It's not bad at all, but I can taste something that is different than what mine's like. Also, with me eating this, I would add a little bit more salt. I'm a salt fanatic. I know it's horrible for me, but I like salt, so I would add more salt. I a lot of times do not in here because Lexi yells at me because she always tells me I'm trying to kill her because I add so much salt. So this one is much more of a success. I am going to enjoy eating this with my pork chop later on tonight. I'm going to eat this because this is my breakfast. I didn't even have my hot chocolate this morning. That's how messed up my day is. And if anybody knows me, I have hot chocolate every morning. I even like the crumbs on here. Nice texture. Very nice texture. Why don't I actually give you descriptions of what I'm eating instead of being so vague on things? Um, the Parmesan and the panko breadcrumbs give it a nice crunch. I'm sure you can hear it crunch as I'm biting down. The 3, 4 cheeses makes it so good. You see, yeah, I'm gonna just stick that in my mouth. The creaminess of this does not have that dryness that other one did because it looked so dry. Um, so I resurrected it. This was successfully resurrected. It has a lot of textures in your mouth. It has depth in maybe that's I'm gonna call it depth. I'm gonna give her credit for the depth of flavor being that ground mustard. I don't think I'll ever put it in there again, but it does give it a different flavor that I'm not 100% mad at. It's just If I had one with it and one without, I'd choose the one without. I don't have one without right now, so I'm going to eat it. See, I'm going to eat it because I'm hungry, because I thought I was going to eat this last night and I didn't. So I'm hungry. I'm going to let you guys go. Um, the next recipe that I do will be from Ayesha Curry's book, because I'm going to prove this cookbook that she has is a good cookbook. And I just happened to pick a wrong recipe, because my whole intention is to support people that I enjoy, not do the opposite. So until next time, when I've had some sleep and I don't look a hot mess, I apologize for looking a hot mess. I apologize for looking a hot mess. Um, cook with your soul and love with your heart. My name is Nina.